clearly the hadith of the beloved Prophet says here, narrated by two Imams here, and the hadith in the previous one as well, that's narrated by Imam Abu Dawood there. Okay? And again, that one is narrated from one of the companion, and this one is narrated by Abu Huraira in two books. That the beloved Prophet ﷺ says, somebody who unintentionally vomits, his fast doesn't break. According to Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, if somebody vomits, whether intentional, unintentional, whether less or more, the fasting will break. So maybe Vicky, when somebody told you that if you vomit, it breaks, then that is according to Imam Muhammad, but the fatwa is not on that mas'ala. That is a rare opinion of a scholar or some scholars. The ones who say just fast and you vomit and it breaks your fast. وَمَنِ ابْتَلَعَ الْحَصَاتِ أَوِ الْحَدِيدِ أَوَ النَّوَاتِ أَفْطَرَ وَقَضَى. If somebody eats a pebble, takes a piece of stone or marble or something, and he eats it or he swallows it. أَوِ الْحَدِيدِ, or metal, takes a little piece of metal and eats the metal. أَوِ النَّوَاتِ, or lead, or he eats a seed. He gets a mango seed, or he gets a seed of orange or some kind of thing, little seed of something, he eats. Aftara, his fast has broken. Why? Remember the hadith where Ibn Abbas mentioned that fasting breaks with kullu ma dakhala, everything that enters. Anything that enters breaks your fast. So that's entered their mouth and is gone through their halaq. Fast is broken. Waqada, and they will have to make up for that fast. عن إبراهيم أنه رخص في مضغ العلك للصائم ما لم يدخل حلقه. Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba narrates this regarding ilk on page number 297, hadith number 9179. Ilk or alk is a type of herb which was used in order to clean your teeth back in the days. It's like miswak. We have miswak. Miswak is sunnah. You can use that while fasting. It doesn't break your wudu. But ilk is like dandasa. In Noreen Baji, is it like dandasa in Pakistan that we have, like a herb? So people use that in Arabian Arabian countries. If somebody has that, use that herb to clean their teeth. Then somebody asked Ibrahim al-Nakhai, and what did he say? That he said it is okay for a person to use this unless it goes through down their halaq. So this hadith is the evidence that anything that goes down through your halaq breaks your fast. Anything that goes through your halaq breaks your fast. So in this case, somebody eats pebble or metal or seed or anything that is not of a thing that is of eating kind, it will still break his fast. وَمَنْ جَامَعَ عَامِدًا فِي أَحَدِ السَّبِيلَيْنِ أَوْ أَكَلَ أَوْ شَرِبَ مَا يُتَغَذَّى بِهِ أو يتودى به فعليه القضاء والكفارة. Now, if a person has intercourse in one of the two parts, meaning that he has intercourse with his wife in one of the two places, okay, whether in the front or back, although in the back is haram. Anal sex in Islam is haram, it's not allowed. But if somebody does it in that or in the proper way, أو أكل, or he eats, أو شرب, or he drinks something, ما يتغذى به, with you take غذاء, something that is used as food, you consume water or any type of liquid which is used as food or drink. أو يتداوى به, or uses something for medicine, take some kind of medicine, paracetamol, some antibiotics, some other medicine. فَعَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاء, then upon this person is qada, he has to make up for that fast. وَالْكَفَّارَ, and he also has to pay penalty. Why? Because he's done this purposely. Remember the first mas'ala we started, somebody done it forgetfully. Somebody done it forgetfully, his fast doesn't break. Somebody done it unintentionally, his fast breaks and he has to make up for the fast. He has to do qaza. Somebody does it intentionally. 3 things: forgetfully, accidentally, intentionally. 3 things again, remember: forgetfully, accidentally, intentionally. 3. Forgetfully doing it doesn't break your fast. Unintentionally or accidentally breaks your fast and you have to do qada, make up for the fast. Intentionally breaks fast plus qada plus kaffara plus penalty. So if somebody has intercourse with his wife in one of the ways, or eats or drinks or takes medicine intentionally, then he has to make up for the fast and also pay the penalty. Okay, I will tell you what the penalty is in a minute. Anna Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu qal, the beloved Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu says that baynama nahnu julusan 'inda an-nabi, one day we were sitting with the beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, iza ja'ahu rajulun, a man came, faqal ya Rasulullah halaktu, he came, ya Rasulullah, I am destroyed, I am finished. The beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam qala sallallahu alaihi wasallam malik, what's happened? He said that to Abu Hurairah. Oh Abu Hurairah, what happened? Qala waqa'tu ala imra'ati wa ana sa'imun, ya Rasulullah, I was fasting and I ended up having intercourse with my wife. So now this man comes running to the beloved Prophet. He said, ya Rasulullah, I was fasting and I ended up with my wife. Faqala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now what happens? He's done this, so his fast is broken. So the beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Faqala Rasulullah, hal tajid raqaba ta'taqaha, do you have a slave that you can free? In those days people had slaves. Look how beautiful Islam is. In Islam, when our ustad, one of our ustad, Hafizahullah, when he was teaching us the hadith of Muslim, he used to say, look at the beauty of Islam. Islam was the first one who came out with the system of freeing slaves. That's why there's no slaves today. Muslim, you just had intercourse with your wife in the state of fasting. You have to free a slave. Subhanallah. So Rasulullah asking this person that, do you have a slave you can free? What does he say? Qala la, ya Rasulullah, I don't have a slave. He was a poor man. Then he said, فَهَلْ تَسْتَطِيعُ أَن تَصُومَ شَهْرَيْن مُتَتَابِعَيْن, then are you capable of fasting 2 months in the row? Qala la, he said no. He said, I couldn't even control myself fasting 1 day and I ended up with my wife. How am I going to stay 60 days with fasting and control myself? So he said, Ya Rasulullah, I can't. La. Qal fahal tajidu it'am 60 miskinan. He said, Ya Rasulullah, as the Prophet said, can you feed 60 poor people? Qala la. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I can't. He said, I'm miskin myself. I'm miskin myself. I can't feed nobody. So they say that in some narration, the beloved Prophet said, okay, there is the food and you can pay the 60 miskin. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm poor myself. Can I eat this myself? They say that he used the food for himself as well. So this was only for that Sahabi. This was the khasiyat of that companion.
Prophet smiled or something.
Yeah, Prophet smiled.
Something, and he gave it to him.
He gave it to him. So this was the khasiyat. It was a specified and specific hukum only for that person. It does not apply to anyone else. Meaning that if you have done this and you say, okay, I'm going to give the food of 60 miskin, but I'll eat him myself. No. This Sahabi was actually a miskin. He had no food at home. Plus he was not capable of freeing a slave. Plus he was not capable of fasting for 2 months. So he actually took the food and ate that as well. But these are the 3 ways of paying for the kafara. So if a person intentionally breaks his fasting by drinking or eating or by ending up with his wife, then what does he have to do? Free a slave. There are no slaves in the time and era we live in. The second option is fasting 60 days. One man came to Ghaliban Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi Hazrat, one leader, governor or king, and what he had done is he had ended up with his wife while he was fasting. He done jima. He had intercourse with his wife, and he went for a fatwa to all the other ulama. They gave fatwa. When he came to Imam Abu Hanifa, they gave fatwa that you feed 60 miskin. Imam Abu Hanifa said, no, you can't feed 60 miskin. You have to fast for 60 days. So ulama asked, why did you give him that fatwa? He said, this guy is a king. Feeding 60 people is a joke for him. It's like a penny. It's not even a penny for him. He can feed millions of people. That's how much money he has. So it won't hurt him. It's not a penalty for him. Penalty for him would be him fasting 60 days. So he gave him fatwa that no, you cannot give food to 60 people. You have to fast for 60 days. You know, there are some criminals, if the judge says to them, okay, yeah, just pay £5,000 fine and you're free. Go kill somebody, pay £100,000 fine and you're free. You know, they do that in Saudi, some of these princes and some of the rich people. What they do is they've committed a crime, and what they do is they end up paying the diya. They end up paying, okay, I'm going to pay the price of 100 camels and free. He can buy 1,000,000 camels. So for him, it's a joke. He can just kill somebody and say, here's a food, make up with the other family and say, here's the price. I'll give you £1 million. I'll give you 10 million pounds or 10 million riyals. So the hukum there is no. He will be killed like he killed somebody else. Because to him, 100 camels are nothing. Same fatwa here Imam Abu Hanifa gave. So sometime the mufti or the qazi or the chief justice or the judge or the governor or the leader will give a judgment according to the situation. Why? Because sometimes that punishment for a certain person doesn't count. To him, feeding 60 people is like feeding nobody. So Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah wanted that man to feel the pain, that so you do not pay. And somebody came, one alim came and asked him, he said, why did you give this fatwa? Allah has allowed him to feed. He said, no, the only reason I gave fatwa to him is I didn't want the deen of Allah to become joke for these kings, because these kings would turn it into a joke. Every other day have intercourse with their wife and say, oh, I'm just feeding 60 people. I felt like I felt like it. And then just feed 60 people and do the qaza. No. So sometime imam or the qazi or the judge would give a harsh punishment from within the sunnah of the beloved Prophet ﷺ, because there is hikmat in there. This does not mean that they are given fatwa against the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Bukhari has mentioned this hadith in his book on page number 259, hadith number 1936, and Imam Abu Dawood on page number 332, hadith number 2390.
اور تعزیر بھی اسی طرح ہے. تعزیر
ہاں وہ بھی اسی طرح ہے.
ہاں وہ لوگ سمجھتے نہیں ہے تعزیر کیا ہے, پھر کہتے ہیں قرآن سنت میں نہیں ہے, حالانکہ وہ اس کے اجتہاد کے اوپر مبنی ہے.
بالکل اسی طرح ہے, اسی طرح ہے. یہ بعض گناہوں کا جو شریعت کے اندر گندے گندے گناہ ہیں. There are some punishments, some sins, very severe, dirty sins, you know. So there's some very, very dirty sins or very, very dirty crimes in Islam. You will not find the punishment for them. They fall under ta'zir. Ta'zir means that the king or the leader or the qadi judge can give any punishment. If he says, put this person, kill this person, or put him in life imprisonment, or deport him, or give him certain punishment, is according to the king's choice, or according to the leader or the qadi, the judge's choice. So he has the control to make the decision in order to teach people or that person a lesson, so no one else commits that crime again. So this is why for certain sins you do not find punishment. For certain crimes you do not find punishment in Islamic law. Wallahu alam, Allah knows the best. Guys, do you understand this masala? Can I move on now? Okay. Wal kaffaratu mithlu kaffarati zihar. And the kaffara, the penalty, is like the penalty of zihar. What is kaffara zihar? Zihar is if a person says to his wife that your face or your back or your arm or your leg is like my mother to me, my mother's leg to me. He gives tashbih. He gives, shabahat, resemblance of his wife's body to his mother's body, or any of his relationships, his mother, his sister, his auntie, anyone who is haram for him to get married to. He gives the tashbih. Then for him there is penalty. He cannot go to his wife, he cannot have intercourse with her until he pays the penalty. Otherwise he will be sinful. He will be punished for that. Hazrat, aapke page pe baithe hue log?
آ رہے جا رہے ہیں
میرے پاس ادھر 18-19 بندے بیٹھے ہیں.
ماشاء اللہ.
ٹھیک ہے. So the punishment of zihar is mentioned in the Quran, and that is fasting 2 months in the row or freeing a slave. And the third option, if you can't do that, then the third option is feeding 60 people twice a day. And what would you feed them? Almost 3 kilograms of wheat or barley. Okay, this was the qaza of the day of 60. Okay, now that is, if you calculate that into modern our time, then the qaza would be 120 meals, around 150, 1.50 a meal of that hinta, like a standard meal you're talking about. So if you cook a big curry or a big pot of food for 60 people at one time, and then 60 people again, meaning 120 people. So you can cook food for 120 people for around 150 pounds. So you buy rice or you buy some other kind of food and you cook in a big pot and you can feed 120 people with that. It would roughly cost you around 150 pounds. So that is the kafara. And how you can do that is by feeding 60 people twice a day, or by feeding 120 people once, or by feeding one person 60 days twice a day, or by giving the amount of that food to one person who is miskin or fakir, or to many people. Do you understand, guys, the kafara? So you can give that food to 60 people twice, or 220 people once, or to one person 120 times, or the money of that price, 150, between 150 200 pounds for the people who live in the UK, to one person. You know this person is poor, is gharib, miskin, fakir. You can give that money, calculate the kafara, and give it to one person. Say, here is money for you. You don't even have to tell him what the money is for. Here is the money for you. Buy food for yourself, or celebrate your Eid, or do whatever. Fulfill your needs with it. You can give it to one person, 2 people, 3 people, distribute it. Guys, you understand? And it has to be different people every time, or we can feed same people for 60 days. Shaista, same people or anybody. Do you understand? I've explained this masala. Yes, sir. Can you give money to charity instead? No, you can't, because charity, they don't use money properly. They use it on transportation. They probably use it on a hotel. They use it on something else. They will probably not feed poor people with it. The money has to be used for poor, somebody who's fakir, who can't buy food, or who's really poor and struggling. Can they give money to you? No, they can't. Alhamdulillah, I'm rich. Alhamdulillah, I don't need the money. Vicky, Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Salam, Sheikh. Wa alaikum salam. Hafiz Hasnain, how are you? Guys, do you understand? the mas'ala of kafara. Imam Abu Dawud rahmatullah alayh brings hadith regarding kafara on page number 332, hadith number 2392. Vicky, it depends, because sometimes the food bank give food to people who are not eligible as well. If you know there's a food bank that only gives that food to people who are eligible for food. Sometimes a person is multimillionaire and he still goes and gets food from food bank. They act and pretend to be poor. You understand? But if you know the food bank that you have given money to, they are the people who distribute the food properly, then you can give it to them, Vicky. But there's many charities or many people that you know that utilize the money properly or have orphanages, etc. So this is how it is. Okay. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى أن رجلا أفطر في رمضان. Abu Huraira narrates that a person broke his fast in the month of Ramadan. In the previous hadith, remember, the last hadith which we recited of Bukhari, in that one a person had jima' with it, he had intercourse with his wife. In this one he aftara, he ate something, he broke his fast. In this hadith, a person broke his fast. في رمضان فأمره رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the beloved Prophet commanded him أن يعتق رقبة, that go and free a slave. أو يصوم شهرين متتابعين, or go and fast 2 months in the row. أو يطعم 60 مسكينا, or feed 60 people. Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi says that if person has intercourse intentionally with his wife, that's when he has to give kafara, not when he eats or drinks intentionally. But this dalil, remember when I told you, it goes against what Imam Abu Hanifa said few pages back. Remember when I said that Abu Huraira narrates this in Bukhari, that when a person came إذا أكل أو شرب, a person eats or drinks accidentally, فإنما أطعمه الله وسقاه, Imam Bukhari narrates this, that Allah fed him and Allah gave him to drink, meaning that his fast did not break. So in the hadith, if you take that hadith, the hadith tells us that the fasting has broken. Imam Shafi says his fast has broken, he has to do qaza, he has to make up for that fast, but he doesn't have to pay penalty. But Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah says even if he eats or drinks intentionally, still has to pay his fast, still has to keep his fast and pay penalty, and his fast is broken as well. Wallahu a'lam, Allah knows the best. وَمَنْ جَامَعَ فِيمَا دُونَ الْفَرْجِ فَأَنْزَلَ عَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاء وَلَا كَفَّارَةَ عَلَيْهِ. If a person has intercourse with his wife and he has it in the other than the private, meaning that he has non-vaginal intercourse with his wife, then there is no kafara on him, but his fast breaks and he has to make up for it. This is one of the narration of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. What does he mean? He means a person has his wife or him, he masturbated, for example, or he rubbed his private part on the leg of his wife or any other part of his wife, which is not usually used for intercourse, meaning that he has not had complete desire or satisfaction because of the intercourse. What will happen? His fast will break and he has to keep up for it, qaza, but he doesn't have to pay the penalty for this. There's a difference between ma dakhala min as-sabilain in the previous mas'ala, a person who has intercourse with his wife in one of the two ways. Of course, one of them is haram, like mentioned, but he has to do qaza and kafara. But here, if someone has, he rubs his private or his wife or on his wife's leg or other part of the body and he ejaculates, it breaks his fast. He has to do qaza of the fast, but he doesn't have to give kafara. عن ميمونة مولاة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, Hazrat Maymuna رضي الله تعالى عنها narrates this, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم سئل عن الصائم قبل فقال أفطر. It's asked that somebody came and asked Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم about a person who's fasting and he has kissed his wife. Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said his fast is broken. فقال أفطر, his fast is broken. Why? Because of the kissing he ejaculated. He hugged or kissed his wife and he ejaculated, his fast broke. And same here, he has not had a proper intercourse, but he ejaculated, his fast is broken, and he has to do qaza. Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba narrates this hadith. Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, anna Ibn Mas'ud qal fi l'sa'im. Somebody asked Ibn Mas'ud about a person who kisses his wife in a state of fasting. Qawlan shadidan, yani he got angry, he said, he said harsh words, yani yasumu yawman makana, he said he will fast on that day. So if somebody kissed his wife, he said that the person's fast is broken and he has to make up for that fast. And I have explained the difference of the three types of different kissing, which break fast or which one doesn't break fast. وَهَذَا عِنْدَنَا فِي إِذَا قَبَّلَ فَأَنْزَلَ. And this is, he said that this is when he kisses and he ejaculates. His sperm comes out of his private part with excitement. Then his fast has broken. Okay? But there is no kafara. He doesn't mention, the hadith does not mention he has to pay penalty. His fast is broken. According to the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud, this is the dalil. And Imam Bayhaqi rahmatullah alayh mentioned this hadith in his book on page number 395, hadith number 8106. وَلَيْسَ فِي إِفْسَادِ الصَّوْمِ فِي غَيْرِ رَمَضَانِ كَفَّارَةٌ. If a person breaks any other fast, here we are talking about specified the fasting of Ramadan. If somebody breaks any other fast, which is not the fast of Ramadan, it's not the fast of Ramadan, it's other fast, fasting of Nazar, the oblation, mu'ayyin or ghair mu'ayyin, the oath that he made with Allah, whether it was specified in time or not specified with time, or the Qaza of Ramadan, or Nafal, optional, or the fast of penalty. 5 other types of fast I've just counted in front of you. If it's one of them 5, then there is no penalty if he breaks the fast. He just does the Qaza. There's no penalty, but he has to keep up for the fast. If somebody makes an intention to fast, optional fast, Nafal, let's say I say I'm going to fast tomorrow, it's optional. But throughout the day, half day through, I say, I just feel like eating, drinking, I break